State of vibrant cultures knitted together into a beautiful
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, Israel launches second phase of Gaza war with ground operation. Netanyahu says defeating Hamas is existential test for Israel. UN chief says surprised by escalation of Israel's bombardment, reiterates calls for humanitarian ceasefire. United Auto Workers, Stellantis reached tentative deal to end the strike. No deal with General Motors yet. In sports, unbeaten India will take on England in Cricket World Cup encounter in northern Indian city of Lucknow. Israel has launched the second phase of its war against the Palestinian group Hamas with a ground operation in Gaza. Israeli Defense Forces attacked buildings they said were used as meeting points by Hamas. Israel has blockaded Gaza for more than 3 weeks in retaliation to the October 7th attack by Hamas into its soil. As the Israel-Hamas war enters its 24th day, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that this next stage of the war will be long and difficult. He also vowed that every effort would be made to free the hostages held by Hamas.
More of our ground forces entered into Gaza in the development of the stronghold of Evil. This is the second phase of the war, whose goals are clear: the destruction of the military and governmental capabilities of Hamas and the return of the hostages home. At every stage until now, and at every stage from now on, we will exhaust every possibility to return our abducted brothers and sisters to their families. The war inside the Gaza Strip will be difficult and long, and we are prepared for it.
Meanwhile, multiple explosions could be seen in Gaza from southern Israel on Saturday night after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier said that his country's ground operation marked the second stage of a long and difficult war with Hamas. Leaflets have been dropped over Gaza City warning residents the area is now a battlefield and that they must leave for the south. Internet connectivity is now being restored in the Gaza Strip after being cut off from the rest of the world due to a communications blackout. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, along with his wife Sarah, met the family members of the hostages being held in Gaza. During the meeting, Netanyahu promised the representatives that he would do everything possible to bring about the release of all the captives. He said that recovering the hostages was an integral part of the military's goals. Netanyahu's wife, Sarah, embraced the families and expressed her support for them at this unbearable time, for each of them in particular, and for the state as a whole.
We will do and exhaust all possibility to bring them home. It's before ground operation and after it. It's an integral part of the goals of the operation. An effort is underway, and I'm not sure if people understand to what extent it's being conducted and to what extent, including the instructions to focus in the field. And it continues all the time. If I were to say what's the key is pressure. The greater is the pressure, the greater are the chances.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said that the escalation in Israel's military assault on Gaza surprised him after it appeared that there was a growing international consensus around the need for a humanitarian pause in the conflict. In a statement, the UN chief said instead of the pause, he was surprised by an unprecedented escalation of the bombardments and their devastating impact in the conflict hit Gaza. He repeated a call for immediate humanitarian ceasefire for delivery of aid.
By the misrepresentations by some of my statement yesterday in the Security Council, as if
As Israel's army moves into the Gaza Strip, Hezbollah have started firing rockets and fire into the Israeli territory, leading a big threat to the Israelis. Clashes at Israel-Lebanon border raise fears of a wider war. DD India's correspondent Amritpal Singh reports from Shlomi in Israel.
As the Israeli army enters the Gaza Strip, Hezbollah has started firing rockets and missiles into the Israeli territory. They have threatened the Israelis that if they do a ground assault inside the Gaza Strip, they will open a full-fledged war front. I'm right now standing at a place called Shlomi. You can see the smoke in the air. Constantly, rockets are being fired by the Hezbollah into Israeli territory, and Israel is responding back by firing back. Those mountains, that wall that you see is actually Lebanon. I'm standing at a place called Shlomi, which is right on the Israel-Lebanon border. It is the last village or kibbutz on the Israeli side, and on the other side, what you see is Shlomi, and you can hear rockets being fired, missiles being fired, and RT guns being fired in response by the Israeli military. This area has been declared a militarized zone. People have been evacuated completely. It has become, cities and villages along the border have become a ghost border. Now the real threat remains that if Hezbollah opens a full front, Israel will have to fight the war on two fronts, one on the south with Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and one here in the north with Hezbollah. So the situation here is deteriorating by the minute as the Israeli army decide. You can hear these rocket fire behind me. That smoke that you see up there is the Hezbollah hitting territories inside Israel, and Israel responding back with its trying to neutralize their rockets and also hitting bases inside Lebanon of Hezbollah. Benjamin Netanyahu, Israeli Prime Minister, had warned Hezbollah that if they jump into this war, he will finish them off as he's vowed to do with the Hamas. But that is easier said than done, because Hezbollah has the backing of Iran. Now, the real threat at this moment is the regional spillover. Will the war escalate? And this is what all countries have the apprehensions, and therefore you see heightened diplomacy happening in New York and elsewhere, Western leaders calling on Benjamin Netanyahu to ask him to take steps which prevents the war from escalating. With cameraman SP Dubey, this is Amritpal Singh at Shlomi on the Israel-Lebanon border for DD India.
All right, DD India correspondent Amritpal Singh is now joining us from Israel. Amrit, good morning. The Defense Minister of Israel has said that now they will get into the next phase of the war, and some ground forces of Israel are already inside the Gaza Strip. Let us understand more from you. What does he mean by that? And also, is he hinting of a full ground invasion or a full-scale ground assault?
Oh, the threat of the regional spillover looms large. I'll answer that part where you asked me what does the defense minister's statement mean. They've gone inside Gaza Strip. They are inside Gaza Strip on the ground. They've gone in limited numbers. The IDF hasn't shared much details about it, but they're saying that yes, we've gone inside. So what I'm gathering from sources is that they've gone inside in limited numbers, but they've gone with some military equipment, not full scale. When Yoav Gallant says we are preparing for the next phase, or the next phase is to come, he basically means a full-scale ground invasion, which Israel has been threatening. And to achieve their stated military objective of a complete decimation of Hamas, they would need to go in for close combat. I guess they are looking at specific intelligence and gauging how Hamas reacts, and they've said they are operating from the Al-Shifa hospital, etc. They've shared some signals, intelligence about it, but they will have to go in for a close combat, and for that they would need to send in a huge number of Israeli army soldiers into the Gaza Strip. When will that happen? When will they completely expand that? Is only a matter of time. Perhaps could be days, not weeks.
Also, Amrit, get us a sense of how big is the threat of a regional spillover? All right, I think we've lost contact there with Amritpal Singh. We'll try getting him again to get more on the threat of a regional spillover there with regard to the Israel-Hamas war. Meanwhile, let's get you other updates we're tracking with in relation to the conflict again. Israel accused Hamas of firing among the Gazan civilians and using them as human shields. Israel Defense Forces once again urged citizens of northern Gaza and the Gaza city to move towards south. And up next, we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the globe with focus on Israel-Hamas conflict. Families of those captured in Israel on October 7th by Hamas gathered in Tel Aviv on Saturday night for a vigil. They held photos and banners chanting, "Bring them back," with lit-up candles in honor of the victims. However, the Israeli government has said that it was doing everything it could to rescue the hostages. Palestinian youth held a candlelight vigil for the people of Gaza on Saturday. Young children, hoping that the war ends soon, held candles in their hands. The war has led to major loss of lives on both the sides. Thousands of people in New York protested on the streets on Saturday, demanding a ceasefire in Gaza amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict. Protesters marched, holding signs and waving flags while chanting slogans. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Over 30 people are killed and 63 injured in horrific car crash in Egypt. Former US Vice President Mike Pence announces withdrawal from presidential race. From sharing their dates of birth, identical twins in Sri Lanka shared the stage as Miss and Mr. Twins 2023 held in Colombo.
Welcome to a happy place. To nature's warm embrace. Witness the power of faith. Fruits of hard work and protectors of Mother Earth. Unique in every way. Discover something new every day. A small state with big ambitions. And a bigger heart. Mizoram welcomes to love, laughter and celebrations.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti. Let's continue getting more international updates for you. National security advisors from around 65 countries have gathered in Malta for a weekend meeting. The meeting was organized by Ukraine to discuss its peace formula for ending the war with Russia. It is the third such meeting this year after smaller ones in Jeddah and Copenhagen, but Russia is not involved. A 10-point peace plan proposed by Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky includes calls for the restoration of Ukraine's territorial integrity, withdrawal of Russian troops, nuclear safety, and the release of all prisoners. The meeting was held in a Maltese hotel ballroom behind closed doors, but officials said that it would lead to agreement to hold a global peace summit later this year. In a tragic incident, at least 32 people have been killed and more than 60 were injured in a car crash involving multiple vehicles in Egypt. The incident occurred in the morning and involved a bus and several cars bound for Cairo on the main desert road in Beira Governorate. The crash involved a passenger bus and several cars, some of which caught fire. An oil leak from one of the vehicles caused the collision, which then spread to other cars nearby. Ambulances rushed to the scene to transfer the injured to hospital. Former U.S. Vice President Mike Pence has decided to halt his 2024 campaign in the Republican presidential race. Mike Pence ended his presidential campaign for the White House after struggling to raise money and gain traction in the polls. Pence made the announcement while speaking at the Republican Jewish Coalition Summit in Las Vegas on Saturday afternoon. Pence is the first major candidate to leave a race that has been dominated by his former boss turned rival, Donald Trump. After extensive negotiations, automotive giant Stellantis has reached a new tentative labor agreement with the striking United Auto Workers Union in the U.S. Nearly 14,000 UAW workers who were on strike at two Stellantis assembly plants and several parts distribution centers in Michigan and Ohio have been told to end their strike and return to work. U.S. President Joe Biden has applauded Stellantis and UAW for reaching an agreement. The deal comes after the union and Ford Motors announced a tentative agreement on a new contract. The deals include many of the similar terms, including a 25% general wage increase. Also, UAW has expanded its strike at a General Motors plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee. In a monumental turn of events, the Writers Guild of America made a significant stride towards resolving its 148-day strike, one of the longest standoffs in Hollywood's history. After weeks of intense negotiations, the WGA reached a tentative agreement on a new contract with the entertainment companies. The tentative deal, a result of extensive discussions between the WGA and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, addresses several crucial issues raised by the writers, while the exact language of the contract is yet to be released. The city of Lewiston, Maine, woke up to relieving news of the death of the Lewiston shooting accused who had killed 18 people. The residents came together to hold a vigil for the dead. The body of the U.S. Army reservist Robert R. Card was discovered by the officials conducting the manhunt. It is said that he died of self-inflicted gunshot wounds, though this sense of relief was mixed with deep sadness for the victims of the tragedy.
A complete mixture relief that this gentleman, well, I shouldn't call him a gentleman, that this man is dead and he will not be causing any more damage. This weather is beautiful, but my heart is heavy for all the people who have suffered and lost friends, people who have suffered anxiety, thankfulness for all the police and all the others who've helped, the medical people.
A U.S. appeals court gave the ruling in support of California's assault weapons ban enforcement. A three-judge panel blocked the injunction issued last week by U.S. District Judge Roger Benitez in San Diego from taking effect as the case is under review. The panel also unanimously agreed to hear the State Attorney General Rob Bonta's appeal in support of the gun law on an expedited basis. Bonta's appeal comes in light of the recent shooting incident in the city of Lewiston in Maine that claimed 18 lives and left 13 others wounded. California in 1989 became the first U.S. state to ban assault weapons after a school shooting incident that year. Colombian President Gustavo Petro said that the mother of Liverpool soccer player Luis Diaz had been rescued after being kidnapped in northern Colombia. Authorities stated that the parents of the 26-year-old Dias were reportedly kidnapped as they drove to their home in northern Colombia. Gunmen on motorbikes stopped them and drove them away in the vehicle. The Colombian Attorney General's office said that a team of investigators had been deployed to search and rescue the players' parents. Dias' mother was later rescued by the authorities, who were still searching for his missing father when reports last came in. Mexican National Guard troops began clearing the debris from the streets of Acapulco Midtown after Hurricane Otis battered the Mexican coastal city and flattened homes. The death toll from Hurricane Otis has risen to 39 and at least 10 people are reportedly missing. Officials fear the toll may rise even further, adding that the storm caused devastation worth billions of dollars, while more than 8,000 armed forces staff have been deployed to clear the debris left behind. Authorities claim Otis has been the most powerful storm ever to strike Mexico. It even caught forecasters by surprise, gathering strength with unexpected speed before it came ashore, surpassing initial predictions. As Hurricane Otis caused devastation across Mexican city of Acapulco, thousands of surviving residents are struggling to get food, water and fuel supplies. The storm had destroyed power and supply lines as well, which caused severe problems for the locals. Also, people were seen standing in long queues at fuel stations in Acapulco amid the fears of fuel shortages. The Category 5 hurricane hammered the Mexican city last week, causing widespread devastation, flooding the thoroughfares, tearing roofs from residences and hotels, submerging vehicles and severing communication, road and air connections. One of the most popular stars of smash hit TV sitcom Friends, Matthew Perry, passed away at 52. The actor was found dead in a hot tub on Saturday in his Los Angeles home. However, the officials said that there was no sign of any foul play, citing anonymous sources. The actor has been widely known as Chandler Bing from his famous character in Friends. Up next, we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. An Iranian teenage girl injured weeks ago in a mysterious incident on Tehran's metro while not wearing a headscarf has died. Jerawand had been pronounced brain dead last week after she fell into coma on 1st October. The death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini in custody of the morality police last September sparked months of anti-government protests that spiraled into the biggest show of opposition to Iranian authorities in years. Iran has denied that Jerawand was hurt after a confrontation with officers enforcing the mandatory Islamic dress code in the Tehran metro. Drivers waited in long lines at various service stations throughout Argentina due to fuel shortages. The government attributes the shortage partly to tourism as well as rumors of possible price hike following last week's presidential election, adding that shipments are on the way with the hopes of easing shortage in the near future. Turkmenistan is preparing for the final round of Brave Alibi of the Year, an international competition to felicitate the Alibi breed, a Central Asian Shepherd dog. 20 dogs have been selected for the final of the competition that is to take place on Sunday. The main prize is a new car from President of Turkmenistan and the title and cup Brave Alibi of the Year, which is the dream of every dog handler. Identical twins from all over Sri Lanka competed for the titles of Miss and Mr. Twins 2023 in the capital, Colombo. The beauty pageant was the first of its kind in the country. Winners will represent Sri Lanka at the Global Miss and Mr. Twins beauty pageant to be held in Colombo in mid-April next year. The event expects 4,000 twins to compete in the global pageant, which will feature contestants from more than 50 countries. Dozens of revelers in disguise paraded through the streets of Key West in Florida to mark the 2023 Fantasy Fest Halloween celebrations. The masquerade is one of the highlights of the 10-day Halloween festival, featuring costume-themed events, competitions, and Fantasy Fest parade. Still to come up on DD India News Hour, UN Chief Antonio Guterres reaches Nepal on an official visit that would focus on climate change, Nepal's peace process and the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Prime Minister Modi to share his thoughts with the people of the country and abroad in his Mann Ki Baat program at 11 a.m. today. The ongoing Cricket World Cup is not just for the adrenaline rush, but also for taste buds. A stunning chocolate replica of ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023 trophy unveiled in Odisha.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Namaskaram from Telangana, India's youngest state, a rising star.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti. A quick relook at the top stories we're cracking this hour. Israel launches second phase of Gaza war with ground operation. Netanyahu says defeating Hamas is existential test for Israel. UN chief says he is surprised by escalation of Israel's bombardment, reiterates the calls for humanitarian ceasefire. United Auto Workers, Stellantis reach tentative deal to end strike. No deal with General Motors yet. And in sports, unbeaten India will take on England in the Cricket World Cup encounter in northern Indian city of Lucknow today. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has reached Nepal on an official visit to the Himalayan nation. Now, this will be his first visit to Nepal since taking office as UN Secretary General on 1st of January 2017. And this is also his second visit, as he visited Nepal in May 2007 as the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. The key agenda of his visit to Nepal is climate change and ways to mitigate its effect on livelihoods, Nepal's peace process, and also UN Sustainable Development Goals. The UNSG will visit Everest Base Camp and Annapurna Base Camps to see the impact of climate change. He will also visit birthplace of Gautam Buddha in Lumbini. During his visit, Secretary General Guterres will call on President of Nepal, Ramchandra Paudel, and hold meetings with Prime Minister Pushp Kamal Dahal and Foreign Minister N.P. Saud. DD India correspondent Shweta Singh joins us from Kathmandu. Shweta, we've just given a brief itinerary highlight to our viewers about UN Secretary General's visit to Nepal, but this will be his first visit to Nepal as the UN Secretary General. Let us spell out, let us hear more from you as to what all would be there on the agenda in detail. We've just given a broad outline to our viewers.
Yes, Preeti. Today, as Antonio Guterres is coming to Nepal, he reached here at 1 a.m. at night, and then he was received by Foreign Minister N.P. Saud. Today, in the daytime, he will be meeting PMO office. He will be meeting Pushp Kamal Dahal, and then N.P. Saud, Foreign Minister of Nepal. Followed by that, it will be meeting with President. And then today he will be meeting NC's leader Deoba also, along with her KP Oli. So after meeting all the important leaders of Nepal today, tomorrow he will be going to Namche. That is the closest village to Everest Base Camp. And then he will be visiting Pokhara, Annapurna Base Camp, because these are the places where UN Secretary have visited Nepal to see what are the climate changes, how climate change is affecting Nepal, and how it can be mitigated. So what the purpose of Mr. Antonio Guterres is to come to Nepal is to see climate change and review the peace process of Nepal also, because we see when Maoist People's War was ceasefire, after that how Nepal is coping up with its life, how it is progressing, to observe that UN Secretary General is coming here, as well as climate change is one at the top. And you see 2 months back, even in Nepal hosted for SDGs summit, where at what level it have achieved the goals. That discussion was very hot that time. Nepal is making its way to achieve sustainable development goals that once when it is achieved, or at least at a closer level, so it will be coming out of these developed countries list. See, this visit is actually taken very proudly by Kathmandu, by Nepal, because they get a chance to show the world how Nepal is a tourism place and its a development process. And because today you see it is at the center of attraction today. As UN Secretary General visits Nepal, everybody is eyeing to see what is happening here and how Nepal is coping up with the peace process, with its development goals. So I think Nepal is very happy about receiving UN Secretary General in Kathmandu.
Right, Shweta, this is not for the first time that the UN Secretary General will be meeting the leadership of Nepal. On many other international fora in the past also, we've seen Prime Minister Dahal meet with the UN Secretary General. But can we get more from you as to what kind of role could the UN Secretary General play in Nepal's peace process? Can we get more from you on this as well? Because there is some positivity that has been seen in Nepal with regard to this.
Yeah. Actually, visit of UN Secretary General Mr. Antonio to Nepal is on invitation of Pushp Kamal Dahal. So he came here twice. He met at an international forum, and then from there he was invited, and he is here. The peace process, you see, because Nepal have really struggled in the past with its Maoist war, People's War, to gain democracy. So there has been a lot of struggle for getting democracy in Nepal, because earlier it was monarchy. After monarchy ended, had there was a stiff war here. And to overview this, Mr. Antonio is here. along with development goals, how Nepal is working on that. But it is, see, earlier, because there were lots of deaths during this peace process, attainment of peace process, they have struggled hard. There were many common people who died. They sacrificed their life to attain democracy in Nepal. So to overview, have a look on that, how Nepal is doing on that front. And see, because it's UN Secretary General coming to Nepal, so it's definitely Nepal wants to showcase the best part of it. The best of its development, how it have moved to a normal life, people living happily, accepting democracy, media being free. So all these highlights Nepal want to show to the world, because now it is having global attention. As Mr. Antonio Guterres is here, definitely international media is looking here, what is happening in Nepal, how it is moving forward. So they want to show the best. I hope so today in the PMO's office, I think we'll get a better update. I can update at that time.
All right, Sweta, we leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. So that was our correspondent joining us from Nepal, putting into perspective for us how significant is the visit of UN Secretary General to Nepal. Also, in other news, the G7 meeting of trade ministers commenced in Osaka in Japan on October 28th. Japan's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Kamikawa Yoko, addressed the opening session of the meeting. She also addressed another session themed Outreach Session for Enhancing Supply Chain Resiliency. The outreach session was attended by 5 invited countries that included Australia, India, Indonesia, Chile and Kenya, 3 international organizations, that is World Trade Organization, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia, as well as representatives from industries of the G7. India's Minister for Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs and Food and Public Distribution and Textiles, Piyush Goyal, attended the summit. In a social media post, the minister shared details about India's stand on issues related to both global and regional situations in the summit. The minister has reiterated India's firm commitment to free and fair trade, balancing equitable growth, global growth, in fact, with sustainable development goals. Speaking at the outreach session for enhancing supply chain resilience at the G7 trade ministers meeting, Piyush Goyal also highlighted the need for collaboration across key areas for sustainable and inclusive global growth. India's Trade and Commerce Minister later held a meeting with Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, Nishimura Yasutoshi, on the sidelines of the G7 trade ministers meeting in Osaka. Both the leaders deliberated on adding further impetus to India-Japan trade and investment ties across diverse sectors. The Indian Trade Minister also held simultaneous meetings with his Australian counterpart, Director General of WTO, and senior trade and investment representatives from Japan. Back home, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people of the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program at 11 a.m. today. It will be the 106th episode of the monthly radio program. The program will be broadcast on the entire network of Doordarshan. It will also be live streamed on the YouTube channels of DD India, PMO and Information and Broadcasting Ministry. Let's take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from India. Delhi's air quality deteriorates to a very poor category today morning. The city's 24-hour average air quality index stood at 309. A blanket of smog covered the city in the early morning hours after the cases of stubble burning reported in the surrounding areas, while the air quality in Mumbai stood at 139, which is in a moderate category, but a layer of smog canopies can still be seen in the morning. In Odisha, a Bhubaneswar-based pastry artist Rakesh Sahu and his team have crafted a stunning chocolate replica of ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023 trophy to express their love for the Indian cricket team. He also runs a school of baking and fine pastry art in the city. Northeastern state of Manipur celebrated the festival of Merahu Chongba at the Palace Compound in Imphal. It is a cultural festival of solidarity of Manipur, celebrated by every indigenous ethnic group. including the Meitei people and Naga tribes of Manipur. Dressed in colorful and unique traditional attires, the festival brings people of the hills and valleys together. The country's first woman police station celebrates its golden jubilee. The station was opened in Kerala 5 decades ago in 1973. The idea of a police station dedicated only to women stemmed from the repeated attacks and humiliation faced by women during the early 1970s, and the station aimed to provide a safe and accessible environment for women to file complaints. And more than 1 lakh people created a record by playing Garba on Madi song written by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The people were gathered on the occasion of festival of Sharad Purnima in the Indian state of Gujarat. After this, the record has been registered in the Indian Traditional Book of Records. The 7th edition of Joint Military Exercise Kazind 2023 will begin from 30th of October. The Indian contingent, comprising of 120 personnel from both Army and Air Force, have departed for Kazakhstan to participate in the joint drill. The exercise will be conducted till 11th of November. A quick break ahead, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Para-Asian Games 2023 conclude on a thunderous 111 medal haul. India finishes at the 5th position. It's raining talent at the 37th National Games in Goa. Participants showcase splendid performance across different sports. And South Africa beat New Zealand 12-11 to win record 4th Rugby World Cup.
Shagato to West Bengal, India's cultural epicenter. West Bengal invites you to share its richness, to be united as one family, with one shared vision of building a better tomorrow.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti, and now it's time to get you updates from the world of sports. We'll talk of cricket first. India has triumphed in 5 consecutive matches, with their batting order in outstanding shape and bowling being the highlight. England has only managed to secure a single victory out of their last 5 games and is grappling with confidence issues. All signs point towards India securing a win. And if India can pull off a victory here against England on Sunday, it would also mark their first World Cup win over the defending champions in 20 years. Abhishek Mahajan gets us more in this ground report.
India and England have displayed contrasting strategies in the ongoing World Cup, resulting in different outcomes. While England are striving to advance in the tournament, India appears set to dominate the league stage with 5 wins in 5 games so far.
हर प्लेयर का अलग रोल रहता है, जो भी रोल और रिस्पांसिबिलिटी दिया गया है वो अच्छे से निभा रहे हैं और टीम इज विनिंग, सो वी आर नॉट really worried, but जब भी जिसको भी मौका मिलेगा, I'm sure they'll put their hands up.
England, the winners of the tournament 4 years ago, are struggling to survive. England, known for their aggressive white ball cricket, has seen global success in shorter formats. However, this aggressive approach has faltered on Indian pitches, and the defending champions are on the brink of a humiliating exit. But the Indian camp is not taking the three lines lightly. India entered the match with a string of victories, boasting a strong batting lineup and standout bowling. It will be interesting to see whether Rohit Sharma persists with the winning combination that defeated New Zealand or Ops Ashwin in the Lucknow wicket, which has traditionally helped the spinners. The two teams have locked horns 8 times. England have won 4 games, while India emerged victorious in the 3 matches. 1 game resulted in a tie in 2011 World Cup. In their recent 10 home encounters against England, India has emerged victorious in 7. If India secures a win, it will mark their first World Cup victory over the defending champions in 20 years.
India are on song with 5 wins in 5 games, and 3 lions have an absolute mountain to climb from here. Both these sides come into this match with opposite ends at the leaderboard, and both teams are desperate for a win, but for a different reason. With cameraman Rajesh Rikhe, this is Abhishek Mahajan in Lucknow's Ekana Stadium for DD India.
And top 5 reasons for India's successful run in the ICC Cricket World Cup so far. DD India's Abhishek Mahajan explains it to us.
Hi, DD India team is in Lucknow to cover India versus England match of the World Cup, and here we are with 5 reasons why India is unbeaten in the tournament. First reason is Boom Boom Bumrah. Bumrah has been doing exceptionally well right after his injury, and he has taken 11 wickets in the tournament so far in 5 matches. And why India has been doing well in the initial overs and also in the death overs, Bumrah is one of the factors. Jadeja's economical way to victory. Jadeja is not only rushing through overs, but he has been exceptional with his bowling, and also we saw what he did with bat in Dharamshala. So India doing well. Jadeja is also one of the biggest factor. Kuldeep's mystery, why India has been taking wickets in the middle overs and why India has not conceded over 300 runs in a single game. One reason is Kuldeep Yadav, and he has taken 8 wickets in 5 matches in the tournament so far. And in the batting also, why India is doing so well, biggest reason is Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. And Virat Kohli, the chase master, is batting like a beast, and he has already scored 354 runs with an average of 118. And last but not the least, Rahul and Rohit factor. Rohit Sharma said before the World Cup that he wants to be in that zone of 2019 ODI World Cup where he scored 5 centuries. He didn't do well in the first game against Australia, but he has been doing exceptionally well post the Australia game. And why India is getting very good start, one reason is KL Rahul. We all know what he did against Australia in that game. He has been doing very well and already scored 177 runs in 5 matches so far in the tournament.
All right, Abhishek Mahajan joins us from Lucknow. Abhishek, good morning. We've seen 2 elaborate reports by you talking of the match today, but then a mighty Team India will meet a low on confidence England. Which team will you play your cards on today, Abhishek?
Right, Preeti. I mean, just before the tournament, if we go a little bit back, this was supposed to be a marquee clash between defending champions England and also India being the host. But the way England have played, they have disappointed. And who thought that England will lose against Afghanistan? Who thought in the last game, the way they lost against Sri Lanka, it was a one-sided win. Sri Lanka won hands down. But now, every atom of the universe needs to work in favor of England if they want to be in the tournament. 3 Lions, remember, they had won the 2019 World Cup also, almost with a similar squad. And if you see the last T20 World Cup in 2022 that was played in Australia, they had almost 80% of the same team. And everyone is surprised at why England is not clicking. We talk about Joe Butler, Ben Stokes, Johnny Bairstow, David Malan, all are good players. I mean, they won, they are the defending champions. But again, the way Indians are playing, they are the only team who are unbeaten in the tournament. But if England fire, KL Rahul also said in the press conference yesterday that the way they have performed, we cannot judge that team on that. because they have very good players, and who knows? I mean, all are due. Josh Butler is due. Johnny Bairstow is due. Ben Stokes is also due. We cannot take them lightly, but yes, Indians have been doing exceptionally well. And if they win this match today, they'll be one step ahead for the semi-finals. And remember, in 2019 World Cup also, India had lost only one match in the league stage, and again against New Zealand in the semi-finals. We all know that that lost match was against England. So England can do well on their day. They are also itching to do well in this tournament. Who knows? Lucknow can be their ground, but yes, buzz is there. Yesterday we were there at the ground, Ekana Stadium, and a lot of people, I mean, a lot of fans were there waiting to have a glimpse of their favorite players. 50,000 capacity of the stadium, and yes, we are looking forward for an intriguing encounter.
All right, Abhishek, yes, you're talking of the excitement of the fans there, but cricket has always been a very uncertain game, and, you know, any team can emerge victorious. But then when we talk of the star players today, we know Virat Kohli is batting like a beast, but then you've also talked of how England have remained the underdogs till now. But when we talk of the match today, you know, who are the star players and their performances that we look forward to?
From India, obviously, Virat Kohli, like you mentioned, is on a different zone. He's batting on a different zone, and he's enjoying his cricket. Lean patch for 2-3 years, over 1,000 days without a century, and now he's scoring centuries at will. Virat Kohli, and India is doing well in the tournament. The biggest reason is Rohit Sharma in batting and Bumrah in bowling. So these three players, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah, and obviously from England, Josh Butler, he's due. He has only 140 in the 5 games that he has played. That's very unlike Josh Butler. And Ben Stokes, obviously, on his day, what he can do, we all know that. But one more thing, Preeti, if we talk about the playing 11 also, it will be interesting to see whether spinner R. Ashwin plays. He is part of the playing 11 or not, because Rohit Sharma must be itching to play him in the 11. It's very unfortunate that before the Dharamshala game, Shami did not play any game, and now, because of the balance of the team, he's not able to play R. Ashwin also. It will be very interesting to see. But whether Indian team will go with 6 bowlers, then only Ashwin place will be in the playing 11. Otherwise, I think they'll go with the same playing 11. Looking at the conditions, looking at the pitch, he must be dying to play R. Ashwin. But like he said in the press conference also, Rohit Sharma in the post-match presentation also last time around, that he wants to go with horses for courses policy. And I think they'll go with the same playing 11 that won against New Zealand in Dharamshala.
All right, Abhishek, we leave it here. I'm sure this will be a treat for the fans today. It will be a super Sunday. Thank you for joining in. We'll come back to you again during the day when the game begins. And talking of the national games, then Indian players continue to showcase their magnificent performances in the 37 national games being held in Goa. On Sunday, the players will display their talent in competitions like aquatics, table tennis, weightlifting, beach football and athletics. The Maharashtra team has performed brilliantly so far and is at the first position in the points table by winning 39 gold medals. Haryana players have won 17 gold medals so far, and services have won 11 golds till now. Indian para-athletics made history by finishing their Hangzhou Asian Para Games campaign on Saturday with a record 111 medals. Now, this is the most for the country in any major international multi-sport event. The Indian para-athletes won 29 golds, 31 silvers and 51 bronze medals at the Para-Asian Games. India finished 5th in the medal count. South Africa became the first team to win the Rugby World Cup 4 times when they beat New Zealand 12-11 on Saturday. South Africa's latest victory means the Springboks have won half of the 8 tournaments they have taken part in. South Africa were absent from the first 2 editions. With that, we end this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.